All right, back here on our Arbella Early Edition, day 2 of Celtics camp. New Celtic Malcolm Brogdon was asked today how this camp differs from others that he's been a part of. And here's what he had to say, presented by 24autogroup.com. You'll save more at Route 24.
This is probably the most talented team I've played with. This is a similar team to when I played with the Bucks my third year in Milwaukee. But here, these guys are a little bit more far along in terms of stars, being ready to shine on the highest level than we were in Milwaukee. So it's probably the most talented team I played with.
Some pretty high praise, which is where we start today's Daily Thread with Chris Forsberg and Tom Giles. Guys, listen, I know Malcolm Brogdon's the new guy. He wants to, curry some favor with everyone. But I don't know, Forsberg, this might be some naivete, but I don't think that he would say this is the more talented group even than the Bucks. They're farther along than other teams have been if he didn't at least kind of mean it. Or is that wishful thinking?
No, I think you're right. I think he sees what Jayson and Jaylen can do up close and probably has a greater respect for that. He looks down the roster, and when you got a healthy Rob and Marcus Smart, the Celtics are as deep as anybody in the league. So I buy into it. It's also look, he's coming in to be the sixth man. So they must have talent if Malcolm Brogdon is going to be coming off your bench. But everyone loves their team this time of year, and we'll see if they keep loving it further down the road. But I do like when guys come in and say the right things and do the right things. And Malcolm Brogdon, to his credit, has been that. He has embraced that sixth-man role. He has said all the right things. He's going to be a good presence for this team, a steady, calm guy. So it's good the first few days of camp. He's said all the right things.
Yeah, and it might be the most talented team he's ever been on. You mentioned, Robert Williams, I think, was near the top for favorite to be Defensive Player of the Year going into this year before he got hurt. Marcus Smart was the Defensive Player of the Year last year. And he got Jayson Tatum, who should be first-team All-NBA this year, and Jaylen Brown, who's probably going to make an All-NBA team. So, not to mention, Al Horford's still a pretty good player. I don't have any qualms with it.
I also will say, with all due respect to Milwaukee, after Giannis and Chris Middleton, and even Chris Middleton, I think you have two bigger stars and better players, Chris, in Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum than you do in Giannis and Middleton.
Yeah, just where they were in their progression too, right? Giannis was still waiting to take that next step, and he was still great, and probably was MVP around that time. So it's hard to deny that. But just like you said, the depth wasn't the same, and I think what you see here is 1 through 8 is they feel really good about where this team stands, especially once it gets healthy. And so yeah, I have no qualms with him feeling like this is a quite the talented bunch.
All right, speaking of Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown, we have some pretty cool video out of camp today. Jaylen Brown, Jayson Tatum playing one-on-one. Chris Forsberg, you asked Brown what he gets out of those battles, and here's what he had to say.
Just getting, some rust off, getting more polished, in your hand-to-hand combat type stuff. Working on, guarding your yard defensively and stuff like that, the little in-between details of the game. So nothing but just a good workout, some cardio. Just iron sharpens iron, so just trying to make each other better.
All right, but this is a competition. It was one-on-one. Who won, Forsberg?
It's look, I love this stuff. I am a complete nerd for King of the Court. And who won? Jayson Tatum had some dominant stretches. Jaylen Brown came back and held his own. Peyton Pritchard got the last shot off over Jaylen Brown, and I think he even called game. So everybody had their moments. Even Broderick Thomas, who was here on a two-way deal last year, had their moments. But it's so much fun to watch. I almost tuned out some of the stuff that was going on behind us, and poor Malcolm Brogdon was talking. I wasn't really listening because when you have your two superstars going at it, and maybe this happens often, it doesn't happen very often in front of the cameras. And what also doesn't happen is all the trash talking that went on. These guys were jarring. They were leaning on each other, as you can see there, to a point where they were practically bear hugging each other out of the gymnasium. So I don't know. Everyone, we sit here and critique the relationship of the Jays and how do they get along and how does that all work? It was neat to see them going at each other. And I think there's a healthy respect there for what they can do. And I need more of that. I don't want to watch people shoot free throws. I want to see people going at each other and being crazy and screaming loudly. It's not much to ask.
You say that now until it comes down to a free throw at the end of a game and the Celtics go 8 for 24. But you kind of took the words out of my mouth there, Forsberg. For anyone that thinks that these guys don't like each other, look, If you're going to play one-on-one in a gym that's got like another 20 guys in it, it means you like each other, especially when they're bear hugging, doing that whole thing. They are in a good place. You can actually see that this relationship is in a good place. And if I'm a Celtics fan, that's what I take most out of this, is that they're competing, they like each other, and no one should ever question that.
I think that's what I take away from it, right? Like, they push each other at the end of practice. They've already gone through practice. A star could walk off the court at that point, and no one would say boo about it because they're already at the high level, but they keep pushing themselves to get to a high level. Really quickly, I want to get to this. Adam Himmelsbach of the Boston Globe reporting today that the Celtics have been given permission to speak with current Clippers and former Celtics assistant Jay Larranaga about joining Mazzulla's staff. They've reportedly spoken with several candidates already, Chris. I would imagine that this isn't because they don't trust Joe Mazzulla, but that they know he's a first-year head coach, and maybe somebody with a little more experience, especially someone who is on Brad Stevens' staff, might be a good addition just to sort of level things out.
And I think it's just continuity. I think everything they're doing right now and everything they strive for is to keep things as consistent as they can, even if you have to go back a couple seasons. And I'll say this, like, Jayson Tatum loved Jay Larranaga. Al Horford loved Jay Larranaga. There's a lot of support for a coach like that in this locker room. And I just think they want the guys that make Mazzulla comfortable. They want to make, everybody around them as consistent as can be. And I'll be eager to see how exactly that seat gets filled on next to Mazzulla.